Welcome to the Creative Brew, helping you keep your creative juices brewing. We're giving out chunks of insight, motivation, and practicality for your creative journey. Hey, and welcome to this special episode of the Creative Brew. And this is actually a compilation episode of some of our creative tips from a few of our past guests. So I truly believe that you are the culmination of the people that you hang around with. And if there's a creative tip that you enjoy on here, please let me know. And hopefully this helps you on to an end to a crazy 2020 and hopefully to a better 2021. This episode is brought to you by a few sponsors of mine, specifically for this episode. The first one is Elevate Coffee. And if you appreciate specialty coffee, enjoy outdoor adventure, and love helping elevate the lives of children around the world, then you're going to love Elevate Coffee Trading. Their mission is to extract hope through love, coffee, and adventures. There's free shipping in the U.S., and every bag of coffee helps sponsor health and education for children in coffee-producing countries and in areas in need of the USA. Follow their journey on social media at Elevate Coffee Trading, or you can visit online at Elevate Coffee Trading and start extracting hope together. Another sponsor of mine is Steady State Coffee that's here in Carlsbad, California. And they offer delicious premium craft coffee. And they actually just released a brand new website from a previous version where you can order pickup, or if you want to become a member and enjoy some of their new subscription coffee-based service, or if you want to purchase a large bag of Steady State coffee and make a cup at your leisure. There's free shipping on all orders over $65, and you can check them out at steadystateroasting.com or follow them on social at Steady State Roasting. And hey, let's start your morning ritual right. Another episode, but what would be one or two creative tips that you could provide with our audience?
Yeah, and actually, wanted to circle back to something you had mentioned. After kind of the full story of getting Elevate Coffee Trading started, you were talking about it can be scary to jump in as an entrepreneur. It can be scary to leave something that is so secure into an unknown where you're building a customer base, you're building a business that started from zero.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of courage, especially from an outsider's perspective, right? For someone looking in, a lot of times people have their own fear reflected in their advice that they give you. And so for a creative tip, I would say, follow your intuition, follow your gut, and don't allow voices outside of you to talk you out of that thing that's burning inside of you. Because people, I think in one of our previous conversations, we talked about it, other podcasts that we listened to, Jay Shetty, there was a conversation he had with, pretty recently, David Hollis, where they were talking about the same kind of scenario where you're leaving a corporate job to go into an entrepreneurial role that you're having to fill out and live out new skills that you didn't already have.
Yeah.
And talks about a ship being safe in harbor, but ships aren't made to be tied up to a dock. They're made to be out on the open waters where the seas are treacherous and perils exist that are going to knock you one direction to another.
Mm-hmm.
But you weren't made to sit still. You weren't made to play it safe. You weren't made to listen to other people's fears about whether or not what you're going to do is going to work. You've got to take that step in being who you are and let that shine, because the world needs that. Whether it's weird, whether it's already something that somebody else is doing and you're going to put your own perspective and spin on it. Don't be afraid to be weird. Don't be afraid to be yourself, because the world needs that to be able to connect things. So that's kind of the creativity. The thing that David Hollis was saying is that people oftentimes have your best interest at heart, they want to provide value for you, but sometimes that advice comes from their own fear that could end up holding you back if you were to let that be your only source of motivation. So you've got to tap into, your spiritual senses, your intuition, or conviction, that comes from your creator, who is the most creative. I mean, think about creation itself. The most creative way to be able to move forward is that voice that comes inside of you, to be able to recognize it and be motivated and move towards it. Because people, they may have your best interest at heart, but they may not have any comprehension of your full capacity, right? So they're thinking of it from their own perspective to say, I don't have that skill set. I don't even see that skill set in you, which is really only a reflection of their selves, that they're thinking about, well, if I haven't seen you display that before. If there's something that I've never done, then I'm kind of freaked out to try it, and so you probably shouldn't try it. And so they don't have this handle on your capacity, and your capacity is your own. So you've got to step out and go, do that thing that you're compelled and feel convicted to do in a creative way. So that, and give yourself space, man.
One or two creative tips that you could provide our audience.
I think, this was one of those questions you kind of sent me before, and I kind of struggled with it a little bit, and I had to really dig deep down inside to find an answer of and tried to really go back to when I first became the head coach here, and what really has brought me success. And the biggest thing that has brought me kind of success in coaching is I think listening and being open-minded. There's so many people that have done this before me. Like, I don't want to sit here and act like I'm creating something brand new. Obviously, we do things a little bit different than some people, but there's so much to be learned from people that have done it before. If you listen, you kind of got to take it and put your own little spin on it sometimes. Yeah. But to just hear, to build off experience, and not just think because you're out trying to create something new that you can't take something from something that's already been done. Obviously, when Steve Jobs went out and created the iPhone, he didn't start by building a phone. You know what I mean? He went and said, okay, well, Motorola's got these phones that do this, and he had to start somewhere and get something from somebody. So that's my biggest thing is yeah, you can always learn something from somebody. So listen and pay attention to people that have experience. Eric Phillips has helped me out tremendously. Like, he has so much experience, and when I first took this job, it was he helped me out a bunch, and it was shut up and listen, really. So that would be my biggest creative tip, is just kind of have an open mind and try to build on what somebody else has already done a little bit.
Some words of wisdom, and I've been starting to do this with a lot of my guests. Before we sign off, what are some words of wisdom? Something that might be on your heart, something that you may need, that matter of fact that someone that's listening to this may need to hear right now. What are some words of wisdom?
One of the things we always say is, and it's one of our ways that we teach perspective at a better way, is don't get so consumed with what matters now that you lose sight of what matters most. And you could take that and say, hey, don't get so bogged down in what's happening now that you lose hope on what could be in the future. Don't get so frustrated over what's happening now that you say things or do things that could harm your future. And so in those moments of crisis almost, we have to go, okay, what do I need to learn here? And I'm going to zoom out and say, hey, it's going to help me long-term in these situations. And then the other thing I would say, whether it's an athlete or whatever, and this is, I wish I would have known this, but you're always learning. I think the thing that's been on my heart the past few months is, and I hear coaches all the time, man, they'll say, hey, they'll say to the athlete or whatever, they will say, hey, what are you doing to get better? What are you doing to get better? What are you doing to get better? And as well as I do, Quantel, the guys that didn't make it in college wrestling, it wasn't because they weren't doing the work. It's because of all the baggage in their life. And so to me, I've been challenging coaches and athletes with, hey, it's not just about doing, it's also about denying. And so it's not just what are you doing to get better, but it's what are you willing to let go of that's distracting and weighing you down. Because, man, in life, no one shows up to run a PR in the mile with a backpack on. You know what I mean? You don't put bricks in a backpack and say, I'm going to break a record. You strip down to the lightest you can possibly be. And so I think one of the things that I've been challenging people with is, hey, man, you're probably doing enough work. It's just you have so many things weighing you down. And so what are some things you could cut loose of that are preventing you from reaching your full potential? And whether you're an athlete, a parent, a leader or a friend, like you're really taking a look there. And I do believe denying is harder than doing. Listen, I can go do a 3-mile run, but to deny things on a daily basis that may look fun or enticing it takes discipline, man. And it's the quiet discipline that no one knows about. And so, but when you can begin to do that, I think you begin to catapult yourself into new areas of success. So
What is 1 or 2 creative tips that can help our audience?
So for a creative tip, I would say for that entrepreneur that when you're at that point where you're like, you got your idea, you've got the name, you spent a whole night, a week thinking about the name. You're at that point where you're getting it out, getting it on paper, getting the logo ready, and you're like, boom, that's it. That's it. I would say at that moment, take a moment and go through your network and find your Quantel, find one of your old graphic designers or creatives, and let them have a pass at it. So then you don't have to go through an awkward teenage stage of this kind of thing. Because look at that. Isn't that wonderful? So I've got the old Link logo, what we got off the ground with.
Yeah.
All caps. That might be like Roman numeral font. We were like, oh, yes, we need some color. Cool. Well, no one uses pink. Let's do pink.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Well, we need to throw something in the circle. Let's just grab the most universal symbol for Link that we could ever use. And bam, there's Link. Save yourself that and go. And if you don't have a creative on the team, go find a graphic designer that can and let them have a go at it.
A creative tip that you can provide our audience.
Creative tip: obstacles. Obstacles build opportunity, and that is they're just building blocks for opportunity. They're not meant to stop you. So if you have something that you want to do, expect obstacles. Expect it. If you think you're going to go through this, any type of transition that you go through in your life, whether it be a spiritual growth, a mental growth, a physical growth, relationships, trying to improve relationships with people, you're definitely going to run into some obstacles. And these obstacles are just meant for you to establish the opportunity to be better. And that's all they're there for. They're not meant to stop you. An obstacle is just there to either make you go over, go around, or go through. Me, I personally like to go through because I was on that path before that obstacle got there. That obstacle is going to have to just fill my rack when I get there. That's my personal mindset, simply because of what I went through myself. So obstacles, be very, very. You train for obstacles. You don't train to win. You train for the obstacle. And it's coming. It's always going to just always have it in the back of your head that it's coming. But I guess the best thing about it is knowing when it gets there, you just start smiling because you know it's on. It's game on. Training session. Here we go. That's what I love about obstacles, and that's my creative tip.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree with that. Totally.
So what is a creative tip or tips? What is those profound tips that's going to help our audience. And Tim, I'll let you run with it.
Okay. I know last time I said try something new. Still major supporter of that and advocate. Always try something new. Get out of your box, your comfort zone. But to kind of like bounce off my last answer, I think really trying to support other creatives and reaching out to other creatives and meeting new creatives will really rub off you in a positive way.
Yeah.
You know, we're all about meeting new people, making new friends, and kind of growing together. And I think that's really essential for you to, you know, learn about someone else's craft or the way they approach things, and just getting inspired by other people. It could really inspire you and spark new interest in your life to further your art or your passions or whatever you're going after.
Yeah.
So I would really suggest that someone, if you're interested in a new medium, reach out to someone on social media, follow them, or you know, it's such an amazing tool that on social media that we can meet somebody from, you know, across the world that has the same interest as us and never have to leave the comfort of our home. It's pretty cool. I think it's an amazing tool that we should all utilize in a positive way.
Cool. What about you, Oliver?
I'd say for me, it's get out of your own way. Just get out of your own way. Especially with social media, just running off that. We consume so much media, you know, it's endless at the end of our fingertips. I don't know if it's subconsciously or maybe consciously, but we often compare ourselves to these people, these professionals, you know, doing their thing. And a lot of time it can kind of inhibit us to go out there and do it, to produce, to create. I know for me, you know, as a video editor, I look at a lot of things and it can kind of deter me a little bit, but then I just get out of my own way and then just create, just, you know, just publish it, you know, just do it. You know? Do you, Google, do you.
Yeah, I feel like those are some good tips. Those are some great tips. Yeah.
I gave gratitude. Okay, Kyler Sanderson at Sanderson Wrestling Academy, Kale's brother, he taught me so much about gratitude. And in the beginning, I'm like, all right, you're telling me this is your family in Penn State secret. I'm listening. I get it, but I don't get like the tactical application and advantage of it. Well, over the years of hanging out with Kyler, getting to know Kyler, and really studying great athletes and gratitude, and Kale will say the same thing, is the mental edge of the teams at Penn State. So what does that mean, and how does this apply to creative people and being creative and just people at this time? Focus on opportunity, not on problems, right? Focus on making the most of what you've got, not all of the ways that this can go wrong, okay? How do I make the most of this, good, bad, and ugly, versus what are the ways that this could go wrong? So in athletics, how do I make the most out of my opportunity to be great? That involves making the most out of all my opportunities in practice. As creators, make the most out of every opportunity that you have to learn, okay? Don't think that like just because you are really good at this that you don't have more to learn, right? Make the most of this time. That you should be hungry to grow your business, hungry to gain more creative skills, and hungry to hone what you're best at, as well as work on your weak areas. Make the most of opportunity, but be thankful for the opportunity.
You don't, then you make yourself a tough life, and life is just complicated already. So you want to make it easy for you.
Creative tips. What is one or two creative tips that you can provide our audience?
Let's see. Tips. Never give up. Yeah. Like even if you have a dream, don't give up. Like that dream could be a dream. Like thinking about like hope, think about dreams, think about things that are just, you don't want to give up. That's number one. You gotta focus on the positive vibes. I mean, if you don't, you're looking at negatives. Negatives are not a positive. Positive is a better quality, better answer. If you give up, like on even like work, like people give up work because they didn't want to get the virus. Like, I'm so happy that people that are in the hospital don't just walk out and quit their job. That's not giving up. Like, you're still doing your job, even though you're sacrificing what you're doing. And that's kind of like a reality check. Even people that are on TV that are covering people, like the news, like some of it is for real, some of it's fake. You don't know. Don't pay attention to it. Look at the positive vibes. Look at where your life is going. Spend time with your family. Basically, don't give up that part. Give up on negative. Give up on things that really bring you down. If you give up all that, then you make more positive. Like, just don't give up your life. Don't give up hope, and don't give up your dreams, because if you don't dream, then you don't know where you're going to end up in life. You know, you don't want to be.
Creative tips. What is one creative tip or tips that you can provide our audience?
As far as I would say, as far as artistry, I would say definitely just keep being you, do you. You know what I mean? Keep drawing the way you want to draw. I know that a lot of people have a thing when they go online. I would rather you go online and see other artists and be inspired to push yourself than go online and be comparisonitis, where you compare yourself and then you put yourself down and you feel like you're not good enough. See, that's where I online, being social media, it's, you know, there's that like fine line you have to walk. Yeah. But my creative tip would just be like, if you go online, you feel inspired, then go and get out there and keep on drawing. Cause like that's where it is, or keep on doing what you love doing as far as artistry, whether it be in videography, whether it be in digital, whether it be in tattoos or regular painting and fine art. So I just say keep doing.
One creative tip for our audience that you could give, something that may help them along the way, something that maybe if someone's at a specific point in their life, what's that one tip that you could give somebody?
Just try something. Pick up a pencil, put it to paper, try a new dance, write a poem, you know, go see a play. Just let your brain shift in some different way with one of the arts, and you will not regret it.
Nice. So where can people reach out to you, or maybe?
In this day and age, it doesn't matter what it is, you can figure out at least a basic understanding of what's going on. So if you're outsourcing, let's say someone to edit your stuff, right? Or if you're outsourcing a drawing or a painting, or even looking to buy your property or anything like that, get at least a basic understanding of what's going on. So then you can keep that person that's helping you out or doing that activity for you, you can keep them somewhat accountable. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be, the biggest thing with technology out there. Don't learn everything, because you don't have the time to do it. I mean, we could all technically make all our own clothes, but the reason why we buy clothes is because it's cheaper, right? The opportunity cost that you would spend on making your clothes compared to paying that money to purchase clothes is so much better. Yeah. Right? So have a basic understanding of what you're looking to do or what you want to be done, and then find someone that can do it for you.
Oh, wow. Oh, well, yeah. I'll be downloading that. I mean, that's awesome. I think it's one of those, especially you got it. Now, do you have any other digital assets that besides the template that you might be marketing right now?
On my website, strikingstatements.com, I have a download. It's 5 keys to writing better copy with ease. Wow. So again, there are some tips, actionable tips to take right now to really improve your marketing message.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's 5 keys to writing better copy with ease. I also have that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll get down to the creative tips portion of the podcast, and something I do with everybody that I interview. Mm-hmm. What is a creative tip for our audience? It could be 1 tip or 2 tips. Something that may have helped you out, or something that can help out our audience.
Okay. One tip that I'll share is that if you want to really connect with your audience and your message, you got to speak their language. Yeah. So many times, because we know our zone of genius, right? We may get caught up or maybe speak in terms that our audience may not understand. Yeah. particularly if it's tech or even marketing. You know,
Yeah.
you just it's really important to use verbiage that your ideal audience uses. Now, a way to do this is to eavesdrop online or in person. So, like, literally see what your people are like talking about, what they're ranting about, what they're raving about. This could be in Facebook groups. This could be in some of your followers, clients you've worked with. Like, where are they online? Another tip is to see what brands that they like. That way, you can kind of see, like, let's say your audience loves Target. Let's just say, you know, you've got people who enjoy Target. Maybe they're women, right? And they're savvy and stylish, and they like Target. Well, if you know your audience is a fan of Target, then get on Target's list. Like, go to their social media and see how they are relating to and communicating with their audience. Because if there's things you have in common, then guess what? The difference between you and Target is that Target has the budget to hire people who go out and research buyer behaviors and really understand, you know, how to connect with people. So that's just the way I'll say it.
Today, one creative tip that maybe helped you, or something that can benefit the audience watching.
I'd say just being wise, make sure it comes from within and you're coming from an authentic place, because that's the most solid place you can come from. And if that voice inside of you is saying it's not time, like, it's just not time, or that voice is saying to you, okay, you can put it out now, just trust that you'll know when you know. Practically be ready to sweat. Like, just, no one can complain if you're not doing the work. So if you like complaining, then do the work. But it
is one creative tip that you can give our audience.
All right, creative tip. Send it. If you got passion, you got a creative idea, my whole thing is just get weird. Like, sometimes we hold back because we're worried about what people are going to think. We're worried about if this is going to look good or sound good to somebody. Who cares, man? The most incredible moment is when you just, in your head, you let go and you get into that passion and you get into that creative moment and let it just go. Get wild with it. Who cares? You know what I mean? And you'll find yourself in moments like that. And you'll also find some really beautiful visions about some things that could really work for you and for other people. And that's all I would. It's my recommendation. It works for me.
I'm gonna copy that. Send it.
Get weird.
I like that.
Hey, get weird. I'll tell a very brief story. I was asking this gal the other day. I said, "So what's the weirdest thing you're doing these days?" You know, and she's like, "Man, I'm a little embarrassed to say it, but I put my headphones on when I go for a walk. I go for a run on the beach, and I dance like a wild person." She just runs down the beach. I'm not gonna say her name. She just runs down the beach. And she just like jumps and cartwheels and dances and bebops and fist pumps and does all this stuff, and people are looking at her and like high-fiving her. She's like she's pretty like chill. Until this happens, apparently, right? And she's like, this is the most incredible thing I've ever done for myself, right? And so she gets so inspired by just letting loose and get wild. And you know, it's one of those things. I think we got to do it. Send it.
That is so
I like that. What about you, Sarah?
That's funny because I think for me, I have to slow myself down to make space for creativity. And so I, like, in my life right now, I'm working on simplifying, and I'm working on, and I'm learning a lot about mindfulness, which a lot of folks are learning about. And I'm trying to do things like take walks around my neighborhood, but not with music in. Where you're just listening to the sounds.
Clear space.
Trying to do things like mindfully eating. You know, where I just sit down and I just eat my food, and I'm not looking at something, and I'm not talking to someone, and I'm trying to work on being more present in my life. So I have to simplify my life in order to do that. And I'm trying to do less multitasking and more being present in the moment, and
Man,
I find
I need
that
a coach
that
like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need a life coach that tells me to do this stuff. I like it.
Oh my gosh, this is all stuff I've just gotten from other people. Yeah, and
Cool.
like just working on creating this space, like the mental space in my mind, to allow my thoughts to explore what's going on right now and reflect on that.
Yeah, cool.
And that's when I find that then when I do creative things, that I feel more clarity and kind of more peacefulness, and I kind of am better about trusting my instincts.
Yeah, cool.
Because I'm more in tune with my instincts. If that makes sense. That's what I'm working on.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does.
Not perfect at it, but I'm working on it.
I think the biggest one, make yourself work every day. You are, a lot of people I know, like writers, artists, things like that, they say like, well, I'll wait till I feel it. Like, I'm going to feel this, like a moment's going to hit and I'm going to feel it. It's like, that happens, but it's not every day.
Yeah.
And so you have to write and you have to draw when you're not feeling it, when you're not feeling inspired.
Yeah.
And then sometimes that's what leads you into that moment where you get inspired. You're just like, oh God, I'm drawing this hand position for the 500th time. Oh, and then you're like, oh, but wait. Oh, I could do something cool with the background here. Oh yeah. And then you sort of dive into it and you get that kind of, when I was taking a writing course, they said there's no such thing as writer's block. You just have to do more research. So the more you read about your subject that you're writing, the more you're like, oh, that's what I can work that in. And that's kind of how it is with art too. But art, since it's coming out of your mind, you kind of have to tap into that. You have to kind of dig in there and say like, oh God, this is so boring. I hate drawing this. I hate drawing this. But wait. And don't wait for the moment. Just say like, no, at least an hour today. At least an hour that we're going to sit down and draw or sit down and write. And there is such a huge urge, I think we talked about on the podcast before, to just lay down and go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And I get so overwhelmed sometimes that that sounds like a really good just escape to the world of my dreams. But it's not gonna further anything. And the time is gonna pass whether you're working or whether you're not. So you can spend, that time sleeping, having a little nap in the afternoon, or you can spend that time drawing, and maybe it doesn't feel like the most fruitful thing that you're doing, but it's gonna move you along to where you can get to that point where you can say like, oh, okay, I know what I need to do. I know the direction I need to take this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the creative tip or tips, something that may help our Creative Brew audience.
I'll say it again. Just don't give up on yourself. Period.
Yeah.
Like, you are your number one fan. You are your number one fan. Again, you can. My mom is my biggest fan. My wife will definitely say that she's my biggest fan. But it's like, you, at the end of the day, and this is not to be selfish, but you are the only person that truly has your back.
Yep.
You are the only person who truly is wanting you to succeed, and you are the only person who sees the vision as clearly as you do. You can explain it to somebody. I drew this cup. I made these stickers. I did these things. I roasted this coffee. They can They can kind of get a glimpse, but they'll never really understand what's going on in there.
Yeah.
So, if you believe in yourself, just keep going. Just be creative, dude. And even if you think it sucks, so what? Like, embrace the suck. That's the one thing I always say. Like, if that's my one tip, embrace the suck. Be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just get out there. You're gonna suck. It's gonna happen. You're gonna fall on your face. You're not gonna draw the best comic in the planet. You're not gonna be the best podcaster at first.
Yeah.
But I bet you after a couple times of practice, you're gonna pick some stuff up.
Yeah.
And then after maybe a month, fast forward a year, 5 years, you could be on Joe Rogan talking about, like, I was in Panels Coffee one day just talking to my homie Quantal, and it's like, he asked me this question, and it was like, boom.
Yeah. Somebody
Somebody heard it, or somebody sees it go viral, or something like that, and it's like, it's not about being famous.
Yeah.
It's about, bro, you just get out your voice, get out what you want to say or express of some sort. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Just.
hey, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and let me know what you think. Please comment, like, share, subscribe on Apple Podcast. Check us out on Helium Radio. That's our radio partner. This episode will be on there. And also, too, we have a new member subscription service. So if you're looking for more of the Creative Brew and looking to some behind the scenes content on some other projects that I'm working on, you can check it out on buymeacoffee.com/Quantel Langford. And hey, please support the podcast, support some of the other projects that I've got going on, and become a member today.